There's something about true crime that settles into your bones like winter cold. Not the sensationalized version you see on television, the real thing. The kind of darkness that doesn't announce itself with dramatic music or tidy resolutions. It just exists. It happened. It's still happening. And sometimes, in the depths of night when you're alone with your thoughts, you realize that evil doesn't require explanation. It simply requires an opportunity. What you're about to hear are 10 stories, 10 mysteries, 10 moments when ordinary lives intersected with something inexplicable, something that shattered the fragile illusion of safety we all maintain. These aren't ghost stories, though they're every bit as haunting. These are the mysteries of true history, cases that remain unsolved, incompletely solved, or solved in ways that raise more questions than answers. Let's begin where darkness lives best, in the cold places we thought were safe. Mystery 1. The University of Idaho Murders. Moscow, Idaho. November 12th to 13th, 2022. A time and place that would become synonymous with senseless violence. 4 University of Idaho students went to sleep that night. They never woke up. Madison Mogan, 21 years old. Kaylee Goncalves, also 21. Zana Kernodle, 20. And Ethan Chapin, 20. 4 young people with their entire lives stretched before them like a road they'd never travel. At 1122 King Road, in an off-campus home, someone moved through the darkness with a knife. Between 4 and 4:25 in the morning, that window of time when sleep is deepest and the world is most vulnerable, they struck. Multiple stab wounds, defensive injuries on their hands where victims tried desperately to fight back. 2 roommates survived, waking to a nightmare they'd carry for the rest of their lives. The evidence accumulated like fragments of a broken mirror. A knife sheath with DNA left at the scene. Surveillance footage of a white Hyundai Elantra in the area. Cell phone pings placing someone near that house. Crime scene photos documenting blood evidence. Autopsies revealing the brutal mathematics of murder. But here's where it gets peculiar. Here's where the mystery deepens. The suspect was Brian Christopher Koberger, a criminology PhD student, a man studying the very crimes he was accused of committing. In July 2025, he pleaded guilty to 4 counts of first-degree murder and burglary, 4 consecutive life sentences without parole, and yet, the motive was never explained, the murder weapon was never recovered. He took a guilty plea, and with it, he took the explanation into silence. What drives a man to do this? What was the reason that made sense in his mind? We'll never know. That's the mystery that remains, not who did it, but why. And sometimes the why matters more than anything else. Mystery 2. The disappearance of Ana Walshe, Cohasset, Massachusetts, January 1st, 2023. New Year's Day, a time for resolutions and new beginnings. Ana Walshe, 39 years old, vanished after that morning. Her husband, Brian Walshe, claimed she had traveled to Washington, D.C. It was a lie that unraveled under the cold light of investigation. Surveillance footage showed him disposing of items. His internet searches told a story more sinister than any confession. How to dismember a body. These aren't the searches of an innocent man. These are the digital footprints of someone planning something unspeakable. A hacksaw was recovered, protective materials, blood evidence in the basement, her blood mixing with the ordinary details of a life interrupted. Brian Walshe made false statements to police. He lied about her whereabouts. He lied about his innocence. In December 2025, he was convicted of first-degree murder. Life imprisonment without parole. But here's what haunts this case. Her body was never found. Not one piece of her was recovered. She simply ceased to exist, dismantled and disposed of in a way that remains unknown. Somewhere out there, Ana Walshe still hasn't come home. Her family still doesn't know where she is, and her killer sits in a cell, silent about what he did with her. That's a mystery that will torment her loved ones until their dying day. Mystery 3. Sam Heslop and the Yacht. St. John, U.S. Virgin Islands. March 7th, 2021. Sam Heslop was 41 years old, a British flight attendant. She was on her boyfriend's yacht, the Siren Song. The name itself seems cruel in retrospect, a siren song that led nowhere but to the depths. CCTV footage shows her boarding a dinghy at approximately 8:45 p.m. After that, she vanishes. Her phone remained behind. Her passport remained behind. Everything that identified her as a person in the world stayed on that boat while she disappeared into the Caribbean night. Her boyfriend, Ryan Bain, didn't report her missing for approximately 9 hours. When asked about the delay, the timeline becomes inconsistent. Details don't align. Answers don't satisfy. But here's the thing. No charges were ever filed. No arrest was made. The evidence, circumstantial as it might be, was never sufficient in the eyes of the law. Sam Heslop is presumed dead. Her body has never been recovered. She exists now only in the memories of those who knew her and in the dark speculation of those who wonder what happened that night on that yacht. Her boyfriend walks free, and the ocean keeps its secrets. That's a mystery that the law couldn't solve, and perhaps never will. Mystery 4. Isla Belle, Melbourne, Australia. October 4th, 2024. Isla Belle was 19 years old. She left home and the world swallowed her whole. For 46 days, she was missing. 46 days of uncertainty, of hope fading with each passing moment, of the worst kind of waiting. CCTV timelines placed her inside an apartment where she was allegedly assaulted. There were allegations that her body was transported in a refrigerator, an image so chilling, so meticulous in its horror, that it suggests premeditation and calculation. Someone planned this. Someone thought through the logistics of moving a body. On November 19th, 2024, her remains were found at a waste facility. She had been disposed of like garbage, discarded in the place where unwanted things go. The investigation is still ongoing. Forensic identification is still being conducted. We don't yet have all the answers, but we have the terrible certainty that Isla Belle was murdered, and we have the questions that remain. Who did this? Why? And perhaps most importantly, did anyone in her life see the warning signs that might have prevented this? This is a mystery still unfolding, still demanding justice, still haunting the living. Mystery 5. Elahi Hossein-Nejad, Islamshah, Iran. May 25th, 2025. Elahi Hossein-Nejad was 24 years old. She was walking home from work when she disappeared. Vanished into the Iranian streets without a trace. 10 days later, on June 4th, 2025, her body was found. The mystery here isn't whether she was killed. It's what happened in those missing 10 days, and more importantly, it's what happened with the evidence. CCTV videos surfaced, but they conflicted with one another. The official CCTV from her last known location was reportedly missing, conveniently absent. A suspect was arrested after her body was discovered, but public controversy swirled around allegations of evidence suppression. In some places, the machinery of justice isn't just imperfect, it's actively obscured. The truth becomes a political matter rather than a human one. And Elahi Hossein-Nejad, the young woman whose life was stolen, becomes secondary to the questions about who controlled the narrative around her death. This mystery is locked behind institutional silence. Mystery 6. Kada Scott, Philadelphia, USA. October 4th, 2025. Kada Scott was 23 years old, a beauty queen, someone with a future that should have stretched before her like a red carpet. She finished work, and disappeared. The investigation revealed something chilling. Surveillance footage of the suspect, Keon King, stalking another woman earlier. There's a pattern here, a predatory behavior, a disturbing pre-incident stalking video that shows a man hunting. A vehicle linked to the suspect was found containing items connected to the case. Kata Scott is still missing. What's haunting about this mystery is that we can see the hunter in the footage. We can watch him move through the world looking for prey. And we know he found her. We just don't know where she is or what he did to her. And as I speak these words, as you listen to this story, somewhere there's still a family waiting for answers that may never come. This is an open wound, still bleeding. Mystery 7. The Delphi Murders, Delphi, Indiana, February 13th, 2017. 2 girls, Abigail Williams, 13. Liberty German, 14. They went hiking near the Monon High Bridge and never came home. What makes this case unique, what makes it burn in the memory of anyone who knows about it, is that one of the victims recorded the killer. Liberty German had her phone. She pressed record. She captured video and audio of the man who would murder them both. On the footage, they called him Bridge Guy, a figure, a silhouette, a voice, a killer documented by his victims in their final moments. The police released the video, hoping someone would recognize him, would come forward, would shatter the mystery. For years, nothing happened. Years. And then, eventually, someone was charged. But the fundamental horror of this case remains. Those girls knew they were in danger. They tried to document it, and they died anyway. The mystery of why it took so long to find the killer, why there was such silence, why justice moved at a crawl while the perpetrator walked free. That's what haunts this case. The crime scene near Deer Creek holds secrets that may never be fully revealed. Mystery 8. Aryan Sharma, United Kingdom, November 22nd, 2025. Aryan Sharma was 20 years old, a university student. He left his accommodation and the world lost track of him. CCTV shows him jogging alone at approximately 12:30 a.m. Alone, moving through the darkness. And then he vanished. Weeks later, his body was discovered near the River Soar. The cause of death remains under investigation. There's a timeline gap, a space of time where his movements are unknown, where something happened that remains unexplained. Did he take his own life? Was he attacked? Did he fall? The questions multiply. This mystery is still being investigated, still being pieced together. A young man moving through the night and then nothing. His family waits for answers about how and why their son ended up in that river. Mystery 9. The Gilgo Beach Killings, Long Island, New York, 2010 to the present. Multiple victims, women whose bodies were discovered along Gilgo Beach over several years. Each discovery a horror, each body a question. Phone records were analyzed. DNA was extracted from discarded items. Investigators mapped victim movements, trying to find the pattern, trying to understand the hunter's methodology. A suspect, Rex Hoyerman, was arrested in 2023. Multiple murder charges were filed, and yet the case remains active. Additional victims are still under investigation. The mystery here is that even with an arrest, even with charges, we still don't have complete answers. How many women did he kill? Are there victims we haven't found? Are there victims we may never find? Gilgo Beach has become synonymous with one man's unchecked predation. It's a name that will haunt Long Island for generations. Mystery 10. Gabrielle Petito and Brian Laundrie, United States. August to October 2021. Gabrielle Petito was 22 years old. She was living the van life dream, traveling across America with her fiancé, documenting it all for social media. She was young and in love, or so it appeared. She was documenting a life that was being lived on the road. On August 12, 2021, in Moab, Utah, police encountered the couple. Body cam footage captured the interaction, tension, emotion, something beneath the surface. Months later, Gabrielle Petito was found dead. Autopsy results confirmed strangulation. She had been murdered. Her fiancé, Brian Laundrie, fled. The nation watched as a manhunt unfolded, and then he was found, dead by his own hand, near the Myakkahatchee Creek Environmental Park. A notebook was recovered near his body, a confession of sorts. But here's what remains mysterious. The details of what happened, the exact circumstances of the confrontation, the complete truth of that cross-country journey. It all died with him. Dashcam footage placed the van near where her body was found. Social media posts that she'd made showed a life that seemed happy, seemed normal. But beneath that facade, something was fracturing. Something was breaking. And by the end of the journey, she was gone. The mystery here isn't whether he killed her. That's established. The mystery is whether we'll ever fully understand why. Whether we'll ever know exactly what happened in those final moments. Brian Laundrie took that answer to his grave, and perhaps that's exactly what he intended. 10 mysteries, 10 stories, 10 reminders that we live in a world where darkness walks among us in human form. These aren't ancient mysteries, not historical mysteries lost to time. These are recent. Some of them are ongoing. Some involve people who are still alive, still waiting for justice, still searching for answers. What unites all of these cases is a fundamental truth. Evil often wears an ordinary face. It could be a PhD student, a husband, a boyfriend, a stranger on a yacht, someone you pass on the street. The worst horrors don't announce themselves. They don't come with warnings. They simply happen. And sometimes they happen in ways that we may never fully understand. The motives remain unexplained. The bodies remain undiscovered. The evidence remains incomplete. Justice moves slowly or not at all, and we're left with questions that cling to us like shadows. These are the mysteries of true history. They're not closed cases filed away and forgotten. They're living wounds in the fabric of human existence. And they remind us that the world is far more fragile and far more dangerous than we'd like to believe. The darkness doesn't need explanation. It just needs opportunity. And opportunity, unfortunately, is something we all provide simply by existing in the world. Sleep well.